There's a really good America run-on dunk-in joke rolling around in my head right now, but I haven't had nearly enough coffee to make it coherent. So let's just jump right into previewing Arena Tour East before the tour full of breakout stars contests 4 events in Providence, Rhode Island, only on MonsterHub. Heading into 2026, Arena East had a full slate of competitive action from Week 2 to Week 19, with only a string of 3 non-points events in April to serve as a reprieve from an otherwise grueling schedule. Mother Nature had other plans. This past week's winter storm swept the nation, its capital no exception. Washington, D.C.'s Monster Jam events have been put off for a bit, if not until 2027, and while the news surely dropped too late for the teams to trek back to home base before Providence, it still gives these 8 drivers that one extra weekend to prepare for the meat of this hardy schedule. D.C. itself would have been seen as a slight break, with no Friday event on deck, as Arena East packs in 4 and 5 round stops from now all the way to Little Rock next month. Baltimore 2 weeks ago offered the group its own challenges. Frame damage for Cody Saucier after a mini-flip gone awry, orbital issues for MJ Solorio literally ripping the wheel from his hands as the El Toro Loco pilot described it during the mid-event pit report, transmission problems for Kristen Anderson in timed racing, and even Montana Robbins crashing his new plane a time or two. All this has allowed 2025 Tour champion John Zimmer Jr. to gap the field by more than an event's worth of points. The only independent driver to win a full season title in Monster Jam's history is on pace to pull it off again. Can anyone stop the Phenom? The Renaissance City has been a hotbed of monster truck action for decades, with these 8 drivers adding to that legacy, some for the first time. The Robbins brothers make their first appearance here this season, as does Sparkle Smash driver Logan Ashline. The new faces will have plenty of recent venue experience to lean on, though. Kristen Anderson and Cody Saucier combined for a total 28 stops here, with the Gravedigger pilot marking her 3rd season in a row competing in this building, and Dragon's Tamer not far behind, having made stops here in 2024 and 2022. MJ Solorio battled Anderson for gold here last season as well, and while Send It Motorsports hasn't competed in this building yet, neither Zimmer is a stranger to Providence action. John Sr. led Sudden Impact Racing into the dunk back in 2009 and 2011, and John Jr. joined Overboard Motorsports' Zach Garner here for the 2023 campaign. The history in the formerly known Providence Civic Center goes way back to before most current Monster Jam identities were even thoughts put to paper. Trace the lineup timeline far enough through the history books and you will find events without Gravedigger or any in-house machines. The black and green Chevy, of course, dominates the appearance record of all returning 2026 trucks, but this venue has seen its fair share of the modern monsters, with Just Plain Crazy and Sparkle Smash making their Amica Mutual Pavilion debuts this weekend. As mentioned, Terminal Velocity has been here before, when Zimmer Jr. was still campaigning for Overboard Motorsports and taking the title fight to Brandon Vinson in 2023. Crazy Train's also seen Providence action, with both Lloyd Twitchell and Aaron Cromer on record as conducting the Bob Robbins' own piece over a decade ago. And for your El Toro Loco 25th anniversary factoid this week, let's wind the clock back to 2017, when Chad Tingler took the reins of the Crazy Bull in relief of Armando Castro in the Sunday matinee event, and wrangled a donut win in the process. Before competition kicks off in the Ocean State, let's take a deeper look into each of these 8 drivers' relevant statistics. 2.5 years into her monster trucking career, Logan Ashline is finally a full-time competitor on the circuit, wheeling Monster Jam's in-house Arena Sparkle Smash along the eastern seaboard. So, of course it stands to reason circumstances beyond everyone's control would interrupt her proper rookie year. Logan's a bit behind the rest of the Arena East group on the point sheet, but she's putting together a respectably solid season early on, and focusing on the championship leaderboard distracts from the real advantage she's getting: valuable seat time. Contrary to the belief of the preseason article Monster Jam posted about her 2026 goals, Ashline has never competed outside of North America, depending how we code San Juan. Her tornado of a driving record up to this point has whisked her from Scooby-Doo debut to stepping in for Ashley Sanford in Megalodon for a moment, to a healthy Dalmatian slate in the 2024 postseason, before finally settling into this unicorn last September. It's enough jumping around from truck to truck to make anyone dizzy. It's also been so sporadic that Logan's still just starting to get comfortable behind the wheel. Now that she has a steady several weeks of competition lined up, the North Carolinian can build upon early signs of growth, especially in freestyle. Ashline does have a few victories under her belt in the discipline dating back to her time in the Spotted Mutt, but her Kansas City 4 routine opened up the possibility of more gold on the horizon, even without a mini-flip. The run itself wasn't all too groundbreaking. A solid stoppie off the pod, a sweet cyclone that hiked into a fantastic save, equal parts luck and control, that other drivers would have throttled into a crash. But the fans resonated with it enough to hold Logan's competition kickoff performance in second place at the end of the event. Her Baltimore 2 freestyle captured similar magic, and if she can work more ground speed into her routines, expect this unicorn to threaten for multiple show-stopping victories. The name of his machine might be Crazy Train, but Triton Robbins looked anything but recklessly wild in 2025, putting his piece on rails and steaming to a bracket racing win total among the greatest ever put together by a rookie. His 19 victories in the discipline outpace World Finals competitors and Arena Racer of the Year winners at this point in their careers. But Triton derailed in Kansas City despite a final round appearance, and after a couple weeks away from the roundy-round style, he'll need to channel that locomotive speed to climb the points ranks. For whatever reason, Triton's train isn't quite the same bullet on Monster Jam's current obstacle course setup. 3 bronze finishes in Baltimore kept him in the points hunt enough to capture his first overall of the season, but Robbins never quite found the half-second needed to enter the same zip code as Saucier or Zimmer Jr. That said, it's his performance in the first scored competition that lifts him into potential championship conversation, even with this slow start chugging along into full power. The Combo Conductor has put the Combo King in his place a few times across their 2 point tours together, with Crazy Train and Terminal Velocity often going toe-to-toe or headlight to cowcatcher in finding stoppie and wheelie rock points for stratospheric 2-wheel skills results. Triton's willing to try for jump stoppies as well, a risky maneuver worth nothing with failure and often worth a runner-up at least with success. Freestyle is a separate beast altogether for the New Yorker. Robbins has had his moments of brilliance in the discipline this season, but he's also struggled with fan reception to his runs, and a failure to complete minimum time back in Kansas City 2 left no score to show for his wicked save. He broke out of the bottom half run of the freestyle results card in Baltimore 4 though, with a fast-paced, big air routine heavy on momentum and skywheelies. And as everyone learned on AT Central last year, it's hard to stop a train when Triton's got momentum. Every season, Cody Saucier starts off red hot, announcing his presence by rattling off multiple racing discipline victories and breathing fire toward the top of the leaderboard. And almost every season, that flame quickly cools to a mid-pack burn. 2026 presents its own unique challenges, sure. Cody had to sit out Baltimore 4 with Dragon ailing from damage sustained in an under-rotated mini-flip, but he was also slapped with 10 penalty points later that week. A return to Rhode Island, where he's won many times before, might offer just the rekindling his season needs. With how tightly packed together the midfield currently is on this tour, Cody's deductions sank him from a narrowly held third on the point sheet, even with a missed event, to a single point advantage over 7th. This tour will likely be a nail-biter for everyone in this 5-position whirlpool until May, so as long as Saucier can re-establish his racing speed, he theoretically has little to be concerned about. The Dragon Tamer has an 11-point advantage over his Arena East cohorts across bracket and timed events, even with the Baltimore 4 scratch. Cody owes some of that to his perfect Kansas City weekend, and a return to Providence where he nearly pulled off the same feat in 2022 is more than welcome. But he also collected the 3rd most obstacle points in Charm City, within a flamethrower's reach of John Jr. and Montana. That will only counter his scored competition output so much, though. Factoring in the penalty he earned from cheating into a skywheelie attempt in Baltimore 1, Saucier has earned the fewest points of any driver on this tour in 2-wheel skills. Yes, the discipline isn't a main field competition, but if we want to focus on freestyle, Cody has only landed a podium finish with a landed backflip, and none of his other routines have exactly challenged for a high score. The World Finals veteran has put together plenty of winning runs in the past, and he'll need to get some of that energy back to keep Dragon in the title fight. Kristen Anderson won her first Arena Tour Championship in 2022 and was rewarded for her efforts with a World Finals debut and that season's Rising Star accolade. Since then, She slipped a position or two down the standings every year, despite making incremental improvements on track and growing into a well-rounded competitor. Anderson's facing similar challenges this season. Multiple impressive two-wheel routines among her best ever, solid bracket racing output, and she's still in the eye of this stormy midfield. I'll save a holistic approach to her career statistics for a full video much later on in my long-form output, but I'm planting this idea now. Kristen Anderson is either wildly underrated or wildly overrated by the general community, very rarely in between. No, she's not an absolute top 5 sport-wide driver, and it's unfair to put that pressure on someone who stepped behind the wheel of a motorsports vehicle far later than most of her peers, including her brothers. Also, no, she's not the worst gravedigger driver ever, or whatever ridiculous hyperboles people want to throw around as rage bait in a social media hellscape starving for attention. Kristen is simply a good driver. That's all that needs to be said without doing a deeper dive into the stats. Monster truck drivers do not luck into or gravedigger bias their way to 100 recorded overall event championships. Nor do they collect over 50 racing discipline wins by accident, nor are all 178 of those freestyle wins listed on the previous slide free of the backflip to win model that's plagued arena results for the last 6 years. And focusing on this ignores the season at hand. She's put together several solid freestyle routines with and without backflips. She's stringing better two-wheel combinations together than her entire career to this point, and as soon as she finds consistency in that execution and a little more speed against this tour of fast racers, Anderson will be back to her status of championship threat. From rising stardom at sudden impact racing to a lasting legacy as a gravedigger driver, it's easy to think John Zimmer's seen and done it all. But his powerful start to 2026 puts the Megalodon pilot's newest act in contention to be his best yet. Zimmer made his return to full-time Monster Jam competition alongside his son as 2024 wound to a close, and after a year with the zombie horde, the Send It Motorsports driver has Megalodons circling the front of the Arena East field, ready to take a bite out of the podium. Zimmer's technically tied for third in points on this tour, but drops to fourth on tiebreaker from the zeros that line the win columns on his season overview. But winning isn't everything, or even the only thing when it comes to points racing in motorsport. John put Megalodon on the Kansas City scored competition podiums 3 times, then matched that effort in Baltimore, swimming forward just enough to keep his shark in the thick of the AT East championship battle. He stated in pre-show festivities already that his 2026 goals are loftier than letting his son have all the fun at the front of the leaderboard, and he's so far driven with that purpose. A sloppy pass against John Jr. in Kansas City 1 is likely all that separated the 20-year veteran from repeating his 2025 feat of winning the tour's opening event overall. Experience sets Zimmer apart from the rest of his group. He kicked his full-time driving career off a whole 8 years before Cody Saucier, and he's visited the sport's biggest stages enough to understand exactly how to climb back to that pinnacle. Only a select handful of multi-generation driving duos have performed at the elite level simultaneously, and only 3 such dynasties have sent father and son to the World Finals at the same time. The way John's been performing early this year, don't be surprised if Send It Motorsports puts the Zimmer legacy right up there alongside Anderson, Mentz-Eichelberger, and Kohler. Clear the runway because Montana Robbins is ready to take off in 2026 heedless of air traffic control. Brother Triton stole much of the attention with that aforementioned racing record, but Montana also put together a strong rookie year, netting an overall event championship and consistently putting Plane Crazy in the conversation for individual discipline wins. He's carrying the same swagger into his sophomore Monster Jam campaign, complete with a proper 3D plane and a second overall. No flying under the radar this year. Leading formation often comes with a bit of a price, though. For as many points as Montana's accrued this season, he's also hit metaphorical tailspins a handful of times, punctuated by a 5-point deduction last time Arena East hit the track. He hasn't been afraid to risk ripping the fiberglass apart either, with a Kansas City bicycle attempt tearing up the special Santa Fe towing body and his new plane biting the dust in a wheelie pop gone wrong. But in monster trucks, high risk often comes with high reward. Robbins won Kansas City 4's skills contest with a reverse bicycle save out of a twisted pod dismount, and 2 fast-paced freestyle routines have already put him on the discipline podium. His Saturday matinee run in Kansas City matched his career best finish. Just like his brother, Montana's already showing high potential as a well-rounded driver in every facet of monster truck competition, with a decent chance both Robbins kids get invites to Salt Lake City's LCQ based on their current performance trends. Winning Arena Freestyle without a mini flip still stands as a Herculean task, unless the mini flip attempter couldn't land the rotation. So as long as Robbins keeps submitting routines in the upper half of the results sheet on a consistent basis, he'll have Plane Crazy soaring above the clouds all season long. El Toro Loco's 25th anniversary is in championship caliber hands on all 3 arena tours this season, the California Kid no exception. MJ Solorio may still be considered an underdog by some, but the third-year member of the Crazy Bull operation powered past the likes of Tony Oaks to finish second on this tour last season, announcing his presence among the upper crust of Monster Jam competition. There's a long road ahead between now and tour end, plenty of time for Solorio to ready a title-defining charge. A penalty for balancing too well in two-wheel skills is the only mark dipping Solorio out of single-event earshot from the points lead right now, and while that's grounds for discussion in and of itself in a totally separate context than weekly previews, it should serve as a notice to AT East and the entire industry that MJ's here to stay. And surprisingly, it is two-wheel skills where MJ has the most ground to make up on the driver in front of him. The 2025 World Finals bronze medalist in the discipline hit uncharacteristic slips in Baltimore after winning the weekend's first competition, dropping his average finish a full position in just 2 events. Between his high-variety approach and generally positive fan reception to the Crazy Bull, Solorio leads the tour in freestyle points earned, but his 6-point advantage there only counters the points he lost on penalty review, not the near 2 competition gap he already faces in skills. Looking back at the 2025 season, MJ will likely have to rely on combinations to climb up the two-wheel leaderboard and thus challenge for this year's automatic bid to the World Finals main field. He lost 21 points last year to various infractions, but so did his closest competition for second-place Tony Oaks, while Blake Granger tossed a whopping 45 points aside. John Zimmer Jr., meanwhile, was only docked 11 points across just 2 competitions, neither traced to skills. Once in a while in sports, a competitor breaks all known bounds, redefining what's possible and setting a new bar against which all future hopefuls will measure themselves. Since his rookie season, John Zimmer Jr. has been rewriting the history books without the pomp of a 3D body or flashy nickname. He's wheeled terminal velocity to the most arena event championships of any independent driver, established himself among the most skilled in two-wheel tricks, and taken home an Arena Freestyle of the Year award, and he's just getting started. Following Zimmer's career from its Monster Jam beginnings in Oklahoma City 2021 to now, his rise to superstardom has faced little challenge, even on the back of a team switch to Send It Motorsports that left him out of the Monster Jam environment months removed from a runner-up skills championship finish and a legitimate threat to take the Arena Central throne from Brandon Vinson in 2023. John hasn't had a perfect start to the season. 3 early freestyle exits and a finals or bust bracket racing record have left the door open to challenges from Solorio and Saucier in those respective disciplines. But otherwise, he's finished in the upper half of 19 of 24 competitions with a podium rate standing just above 70%. In a point system like this, with no tangible gap separating first from second from third, and with no penalty deductions to speak of, Zimmer is red hot to start off 2026. Now, he brings terminal velocity back to Providence, a venue that got to compare his sophomore campaign directly against then-teammate Zach Garner and their contemporary Brandon Telechka, having already claimed gold in racing and two-wheel. No one will be surprised if John takes his first Rhode Island event championship this weekend, nor if he pads his points lead well beyond his current 26-ticker advantage. Okay, you've got the lineup. That's enough of my rambling for now. It's time to let the numbers do the talking. Get your table reading glasses ready because we're about to dive into the deep end of arena bracket racing statistics, from career totals to 2026 info to venue specifics. Arena East could use some tips from Craig Christensen's Hummer because its 7 challengers have all struggled to stop the Dragon from laying waste to this season's early racing competitions. Cody Saucier has finished no worse than 2nd this year, and per his Providence history, that trend's likely to continue. Saucier boasts an 84.2% win-loss ratio in the AMP, stretching back to the inaugural Triple Threat Tour and its drought of available results. Cody took home a timed racing victory here as well, so this speed isn't limited to the Chicago-style oval that's likely to be contested this weekend. That said, he does have a bit of a win-or-bust record here. 2 of Saucier's 3 losses in this venue were Round 1 exits. But the Louisiana native has the upper hand on every single opponent he may face this weekend, a valuable asset in his pocket as he regroups from Baltimore. Racing results rarely follow an evenly predictable hierarchy, but the Kansas City brackets offered few upsets for the group's only previous 2026 Chicago-style results. Saucier stormed through the lineup. The Zimmer and Robbins families settled things amongst themselves and each other through the filters of the first 2 rounds, and while Sparkle Smash had head-turning Saturday speed, it was just inches away from being enough to lift Logan Ashline out of Round 1. Providence's decades of history favor domination. If a driver figures out how to handle the pavilion's tricky dirt, chances are they'll find their groove again and again. Saucier is just one of several multi-time Rhode Island racing winners. In fact, besides 2023, at least one driver has rattled off multiple wins in the discipline in this venue every weekend since 2009. Usually that had been at the hands of a Gravedigger driver, but the top bracket slot hasn't been written in black and green since Brandon Vinson's Friday victory in 23, and Kristen Anderson has never converted an appearance here into a racing triumph despite 16 tries. Of course, with 25-plus years of results comes a few pleasant surprises. Michaela Toluchka handled the track conditions with precision and class to capitalize on others' mistakes and notched the first bracket win of her Monster Jam career here last year. Another former Shark representative, Jack Brown, wheeled his Raising Cane Monster Trucks Megalodon to the front of the field in 2019. J.R. Seesock took home one of his only 2 bracket racing wins in this building back in 2017, and stretching back through time, Chris Bergeron put Brutus in the 2010 winner's circle not once, but twice. After all that speeding through racing, I need a break. I need a little control. I need some balance, some precision. That's right, it's time for more numbers. Get those decimal points ready because now we're covering 2-wheel skills. Arena East hasn't exactly shattered the Judges' Zone slider in its 8 skills competitions, with only 2 drivers cracking the 9.0 barrier so far in 2026. Blame that on the starter effect. Those who have watched Monster Jam since Freestyle was first declared a competitive event are familiar with Scott Douglas and company remarking on the difficulties of earning a high score when a driver kicks off a discipline. John Zimmer Jr. is no exception to the rule. Twice he's been the first to attempt 2-wheel combinations this season. Both times he's been head and shoulders above the field with respects to quality. Both times the expert judge tipped their cap at him to the tune of a 9.2 and 9.0 respectively, and neither time did terminal velocity hold on to the top spot thanks to fan scores of 7.991 and 8.327 respectively. Considering John enters Providence with a staggering average finish better than second place, I doubt he's fretting the 2 or 3 lost points there, but it's still worth bringing up. It'll take a perfect blend of consistency, risk, and strong racing finish to crack open that dam of 9s on this tour, and frankly, considering his fearless bicycle attempts this season, I wouldn't be surprised if Montana Robbins is the driver to unlock that door. If last year's two-wheel skills competitions are anything to go by, a combination move in Providence goes over about as well as donuts and coffee. Great news for the combo-heavy Arena East lineup. Blake Granger turned in a 4-piece maneuver in each of his 4 attempts last year, riding out the reverse wheelie on Monster My Dalmatian's tail at every event and grabbing 3 of 4 competition wins for his efforts. The only driver to stop Granger from bringing out the brooms? MJ Solorio. The El Toro Loco wheelman executed a picture-perfect stoppy moonwalk combo just moments before Blake took to the track that Saturday afternoon. With several drivers struggling to lift their attempts to total verticality last year, Solorio's textbook approach netted him the valuable fractions of a point necessary to withstand the rock point of the next contender. Considering the combos submitted by the likes of Zimmer and Robbins this season, don't be surprised if either Terminal Velocity or Crazy Train, or anyone who can string together high verticality multi-trick attempts, make dents in that all-time top 10 score list from the Dunks history books. We've covered speed, we've covered skill. What about style? Monster Jam's freestyle competition lets drivers attack the track every which way they desire, so let's dive back into the numbers and see what the stats have to say about the sport's pinnacle discipline. On a tour with so much freestyle success across the lineup, Arena East has put technical brilliance at the forefront so far in 2026, with MJ Solorio and both Zimmers already submitting routines capable of winning Arena Freestyle of the Year awards in the season's infancy. Don't believe me? Watch MJ's Variety Pack Showstopper from Kansas City 4, John Sr.'s Jump Stoppy Masterclass from Kansas City 1, or John Jr.'s Big Air Bonanza from Baltimore 3, complete with 2 dizzying sets of short donuts. That noted, this group still hasn't hit on too big a wow moment off the pod, a contrast to their neighbors on the Freestyle Mania Tour. A nosedive save here, a hike up onto 2 wheels and a quick turn there, and really only one shocking collection save, which itself failed to meet minimum time required for a score. Enter the Robbins brothers. Triton and Montana carry the lowest career averages and personal bests of the 8 contenders here. That's no knock on their incredible talents behind the wheel, but it is a surprise neither second-generation star has cracked the 9.0 barrier in the discipline yet. Considering Triton's on-rails routines and Montana's sky-high leaps, expect both brothers' freestyle marks to ascend the ranks as 2026 progresses, with or without a mini-flip attempt. This year's Providence lineup enters the AMP with plenty of prior freestyle success, headed by Cody Saucier. If he's looking for a place to turn his season around in the discipline, this arena is the venue to do it. Cody's won the final competition here 5 times, including a near blackout of the win card in 2022, stopped only by Whiplash's Brianna Mahan. MJ Solorio has reason to be excited about his return to PVD as well. He's 2 for 4 on freestyle wins here, and he landed both backflip attempts last season to take those trophies. Checking the time machine, Providence has smiled on early careers in the past. Rick Disharoon and Ron Stanwood split the spoils of 2001 freestyle victory here, and after decades of Gravedigger domination in the building, including the proverbial yellow stripe seasons of Golden Knife Berger and Cole Vinard, both Amy Hood and Colette Davis claimed Rhode Island gold in their first-year campaigns. The rookie victory trend has cooled since the introduction of the mini-flip here, but the path to the winner's circle is still wide open. The Monster Jam livestream chat windows are a bountiful farmer's market for food for thought topics, and that's no different this week, with another fresh-baked idea for discussion at the ready. The promoter is now 10 years into its current point structure, setting crops of 8 to 16 drivers on specific routes across the country and having them face each other on similar tracks week in and week out until the World Finals. After having no points championship to speak of for over a decade, and no easily accessible information for 2004s or earlier, this breath of fresh air put monster trucks firmly back in the discussion of true motorsport rather than simple entertainment. We've seen drivers like Tyler Menninga, Tristan England, Camden Murphy, Blake Granger, Weston Anderson, and dozens more advance from humble beginnings to superstardom in both stadium and arena environments. But looking at this from a bird's eye view, has the sport struck gold on nurturing driver development in this model, or are we simply accepting this as an improvement over the more sporadic previous booking system? Arena East seems like the perfect tour against which to hold this magnifying glass. 3 seasons veterans, and 5 rising phenoms, each with less than 5 years experience on the sport's most visible promotion. Take Logan Ashline, for instance. The Sparkle Smash driver hit a canyon of a gap from 2024 to 2025, bridged a week from a fill-in opportunity in San Juan at the tail of the former. Had 24 not been a whirlwind of backup driver necessity, her break from Calgary 2023 to Manchester 2024 would have hit similar distance. The Robbins kids face a separate but similar dilemma. Their arena tour slot opened up only when Monster Trucks Unlimited left Monster Jam for other opportunities, with no real chances for the one-off independent appearances that so swathed the industry landscape before 2017. Then there's MJ Solorio, the former Indy driver who waited until the start of his 3rd in-house year for his first stadium opportunity. He made the most of it in La Plata, but did his previous experience on tracks outside the arena pod give him anything extra to draw from that a brand new MJU graduate wouldn't otherwise have? And in the event of Kristen Anderson, whose most recent stadium appearance outside the World Finals lights came nearly 5 years ago now, is she destined to the Porter Lake Gravedigger career of near-total arena exclusivity? Many veterans have lauded the current system by pointing to arena stars as immediate stadium success stories. I can't deny that, but I do wonder if there's a balance, delicate it may be, to strike between past and present. Week 5 turns the calendar of the Monster Jam season over a month, putting us that much closer to World Finals 25. On the stadium side of things, Zach Garner, Mike Christensen, and Ryan Anderson take the momentum from their San Diego hardware back up the coast to Anaheim. Meanwhile, San Antonio was also affected by the winter storm over the weekend, so Stadium East regroups after that interruption with a trip to Indianapolis. Freestyle Mania swings back inland this weekend for a trip to Milwaukee, where the Toluchka siblings look to break out of the midfield in their home state. Weston Anderson and motocross teammate Noah Bakken took command with a total Gravedigger blackout of the Newark Event Championship card, though Tony Oaks' unbelievable saves might steal Anderson's thunder right back. And Arena West gets their 3rd and final Pod and Batwing event in the frigid Fargo Dome. Tim Hall Jr. and Armando Castro lost a bit of ground to Blake Granger's clean sweep of Sacramento's overalls, so one more escape from the shoebox, as Matt Cody put it in Tacoma Trackside, serves as a final reprieve, or a possible reset. If you're a little tired of this chowder of numbers and need some cliff notes, let's recap. John Zimmer Jr. might have a comfortable lead right now on Arena Championship Series East, but he'll have to deal with constant charges from MJ Solorio's big bad bull in every discipline this year, and any slip-up by either rising star will open the door to a shark tank of a midfield. 5 capable drivers ready to bite at gold for themselves. Looking across the bay, who stands out as MonsterHub's driver to watch this week? With legends rising from burgeoning independent careers on this tour, the wind's in the sails of the Vermont mountain mover himself, John Zimmer. Sure, he's watching his son take the lion's share of gold, but the patriarch of Sendit's driving crop has already turned in world-class freestyle routines this season, and is just a small boost away from adding to his arena racing legacy. Zimmer walks into Providence, an arena that has smiled on Megalodon in the past, with multiple overall event championships in reach. I hope this helped wake you up and get you excited for this weekend's Monster Jam action. There will be plenty more statistics refills here in 2026. Drop a like if you feel ready to drink in this weekend's Providence action, and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any event previews for the 2026 season. Put that coffee in a thermos, because next week we're braving the winter weather of the Midwest and covering Stadium East's Minneapolis Outlook only on MonsterHub. MonsterHub is not affiliated with Monster Jam or Feld Entertainment. All driver names, truck names, and other associated intellectual property belong to their respective owners and are referenced in this video for sake of statistics and clarity only.